All right, here we are. After 77 straight days of tracking, of analysis, we are now in the final hours before the main event. This is it. This is the culmination of everything we've watched, all boiled down into one last strategic briefing. Let's get right into it. First up, you know the drill, our standard disclaimer. This is all for educational and informational purposes. Nothing you're about to see or hear is financial advice. Please, you've got to do your own research. So it's day 77. You can think of this as the final briefing from the Situation Room. All the data is in. The patterns, well, they've been established. And the conclusions have been drawn. It is time to review the intelligence before this thing kicks off. And that clock is ticking, folks. We have about 8 hours until the single largest unlock in this protocol's history begins. The stakes are obviously high, and the time for prep, well, that's over. Now, to really understand what's coming, we have to look back at the journey that brought us to this point. For the last 77 days, we have been watching this absolutely fascinating story unfold between two key metrics, price and staking. And this slide, this just reveals a total split in the data. Just look at the price. It went from 95 cents on day 62 and just plummeted all the way down to 9 cents today. I mean, that's a massive drop. But now, look at the staking percentage. It didn't drop. In fact, it actually increased from 58% and has held incredibly steady right in that 60 to 67% range this entire time, right through a period of maximum fear. And this chart just brilliantly illustrates the point. On one side, you have a staggering 91% price decline, and on the other, a net positive change in the amount of tokens staked. You see, the price action was telling a story of fear, but the staking action, that told a very different story. A story of conviction. So what's the crucial takeaway here? It's this. The 77-day journey has basically served as a live validation. We've seen with our own eyes that under extreme pressure, the protocol doesn't shatter. No, instead, the core community behavior actually gets stronger. This is anti-fragility, live in action. And this bigger picture view is backed up by some tactical intelligence we've gathered from the smaller, recent unlocks, what we've been calling cliffs. They've been perfect little test cases for what happens when direct pressure gets applied. You know, the day 76 unlock was the clearest signal we could have asked for. In response to a really sharp 54% price crash, what did the holders do? They didn't just hold the line, they increased their staked positions by 29%. Think about that. They met a sell-off with an overwhelming buy-in to the protocol's long-term health. This has really laid out a clear, repeatable pattern. Step 1, tokens unlock. Step 2, some people sell, which causes a price step. Step 3, a majority, a larger group, restakes their tokens. 4, the burns ramp up at these lower prices, which reduces supply. And 5, the protocol comes out the other side with an even more committed holder base. And you know, this leads to a really critical strategic question. The day 78 unlock, that belongs to the day 1 through 7 cohort. These are the earliest believers, right? The ones with the most skin in the game, the most time advantage. So isn't it logical to assume they're at least as likely, if not more so, to follow this exact pattern of restaking? Okay, so with that behavioral context, let's actually quantify the threat for day 78. It's time to separate the initial fear from the data-driven reality. Let's crunch the numbers. Let's rewind for a second. The original fear, the number that was kind of haunting the community for weeks, was based on the price at its absolute peak. The potential selling pressure was calculated to be over $2.1 million. I mean, that was a truly daunting figure. But today, that number has been deflated by 90% just because of the price change. The theoretical max pressure is now sitting around $216,000. But if we apply our proven behavioral model, let's assume 50 to 60% of holders restake like they've been doing, the actual sell pressure could be somewhere in the range of just $86,000 to $108,000. A world of difference. So we know the potential pressure. The next logical question is, how prepared is the protocol to actually meet that pressure? We've put together a scorecard of its key defensive metrics. And honestly, the assessment is strong right across the board. The floor cushion is at a massive 800% buffer. That's a deep safety net. The liquid supply, or the float, is an incredibly tight 3%, which means there are very few tokens just sitting around ready to be sold. The USDC defense pool is stable at 22 grand, ready to absorb pressure. Burn efficiency is at its peak, And crucially, the yield engine keeps on chugging along. The protocol is absolutely positioned for defense. And hey, to put one of those defenses into perspective, at current prices, that $22,000 USDC pool by itself has enough firepower to absorb and burn a full 10% of the entire day 78 unlock. And that's just one of several defense mechanisms at play here. Okay, so as we head into this thing, it is absolutely vital that we define what a successful outcome actually looks like. And spoiler alert, it is probably not what most people are thinking. Let's be crystal clear. Success is not the price going up tomorrow. Success is the staking percentage holding firm. It's watching that restaking pattern continue. It's seeing burns accelerate and that yield engine keep flowing. The ultimate victory here is the protocol surviving this massive stress test intact, ready to fight for the long term. And speaking of the long term, it's really important to understand that day 78, while it's the peak of the storm, it's not the end of it. So let's take a quick look at the forecast. So yeah, day 78 is the main event, but there's still significant pressure coming on day 79 and especially day 83. But here's the key takeaway. After day 133, these releases basically drop off a cliff. The storm is intense, for sure, but it has a visible, defined end. And this brings us to the final verdict. After 77 days, all the evidence we've gathered supports a single, powerful thesis. When this protocol faces its biggest challenges, it doesn't break. It compresses, it burns, it restakes, and it emerges on the other side stronger than before. Day 78 is the ultimate test of that thesis. Everything we've learned, everything we've tracked, is about to be put into practice. The theory is about to meet reality. The strategic briefing is complete. The analysis is done. All that's left now is to observe. 8 hours remain.